enjoyed that intro as much as we did, and that it brought back a lot of childhood memories for you from when you used to watch Pokemon in the mornings on Saturday. I know I'm not the only one. And on the real though, Ash is super flexible because when I was doing this move right here, I mean, I had to stretch out before I did it because I'm getting older, you guys. Okay. So Halloween is around the corner, and this is my first costume for that series. I thought it would make such a great compliment for Tommy's costume because you guys love that video so much. If you haven't seen it and you want to know how to make this Pikachu costume, you can click the link right here. This area will probably have it. Or you can click the link down below in the description box and it'll tell you everything that you need to know. And without further ado, let's get started.
Alrighty, so to begin, you want a bright blue suit jacket or a blazer, and the reason why you want this is because it's a thicker fabric, so the end result is going to look a lot better because it's sturdy, and it's alright if it's a bit too big because I'm going to teach you how to tailor it right now. First, you want to take off all the buttons inside and outside, then you want to flip the jacket inside out, and with some pins, you want to start taking in the front seams. I took it in about ½ an inch. Once you're done with the front seams, you want to flip it around and do the back seams. The back seams are slightly different just because the seams go up halfway. So you still want to take it in ½ an inch, but just stop halfway. And make sure that when you're pinning it, it's following the same curve as the stitching. Once you have all 4 seams pinned up, all you want to do is sew a straight stitch following the line of pins. Now we're going to work on the sleeve, and to do this, we actually need to cut off the original sleeve. It sounds intimidating, but it must be done. And to do this, you want to cut right next to the stitching line. Usually I would seam rip something like this, but because there's a serged edge, I can't really do that. So just cut closely to the stitching line and you'll be just fine. When you're done, you should have something that looks like this, and you should have 2 sleeve pieces. To make the sleeves, you want to fold your white fabric in half so that it's thicker, and you want to line up the bottom edge of the original sleeve with the folded line of the white fabric, and you want to trace around it with some chalk. Next, you want to cut it out, leaving about ½ an inch seam allowance. Repeat the process to make another sleeve. Next, you want to bring it right sides together, pin it, and stitch it right at that seam. Turn your sleeve right side out. The top is your shoulder area and the bottom is the armpit area. Mark the center point of the shoulder area and place it into the jacket like so, with the jacket turned inside out. Then just match the edges and start pinning away. Once you get to the armpit area, you will see that the sleeve is actually slightly smaller than the jacket, and this is because we cut it. So to fix that, we're going to take in that side seam of the jacket so that the sleeve edges will match up perfectly. I'm only sewing it halfway because I don't need to make the bottom of the jacket any tighter. Then just keep on pinning like you were doing before. Now just stitch right on the line that you drew and definitely follow Pikachu's instructions. Yeah, I'm using blue thread here on the white, which doesn't look good, but I changed it on my neck sleeve, so I was not paying attention. Okay. Now I'm going to work on the front of my jacket, and what I'm doing here is drawing a line, and I'm adding some seam allowance, and I'm cutting off that piece of fabric. The reason why I'm doing this is because I have a double-breasted jacket. If you don't have one, you don't have to do this. All I'm doing is tucking in that seam allowance, and then I'm going to top stitch it so it looks just like a standard open front jacket. To make Ash's white collar, we are actually going to cover up the blue collar that we have right now. And to do this, you want to trace around the original collar. The 2 pins on either side mark where I want to stop. And I figured that out just by trying it on and marking it myself. Next, you want to cut it out and leave a ½ an inch seam allowance. And you want to do the same thing on another piece of fabric. You could have actually doubled up the fabric to begin with, but I didn't do that. So definitely do that if you want to save time. Yeah! Next, you want to pin and sew 3 sections of the collar. Trim off the seam allowance so it's not so bulky when you flip it right side out. Next, you want to cut off all the corners and cut notches into the ones that are going inward. And you do this so that when you flip it right side out, it'll lay really nicely. So now you actually flip it right side out. And using your scissors, very carefully point out the corners. This will make it look really crisp and clean. Next, you want to take the original collar and tuck it inside the new one. And you want to make sure that the corners match up, so just adjust everything and then pin it into place so that it doesn't shift around. Now you want to tuck in the seam allowance of the fourth edge, and we're doing this so that you don't get a frayed edge and it's nice and clean. And when you're done doing that, you want to flip it to the other side, and you want to also tuck in that edge as well. And you want to pin both of them together because you're going to sew both of them together at the same time. Okay, this might be a little bit tricky, but just go slowly and keep adjusting and you'll be okay. Now you want to top stitch it all the way through, making sure you're capturing the other side as well. For Ash's beautiful trim, I'm using some bias tape and I'm using some liquid stitch, and because mine is a bit used and dried out, I'm using a popsicle stick to help scoop it out of there. I'm applying some glue to the edge of the jacket and just patting the bias tape right on. Using some paper clips, I'm just putting it on there to help it dry and not move. For his beautiful pockets, I'm cutting out a 3.5-inch piece of bias tape, and I'm doubling it up because I want it more opaque, but that's just a personal preference. For the little tab on his jacket, you want to use either a scrap piece that you cut from the lapel, or you can use another blue fabric if you never had to cut anything in the first place. So cut out a rectangle, tuck in all the edges, and top stitch it all down. Moving on to his buttons, you want to cut out 2 yellow circles out of felt, glue one to the tab, and then to attach the tab, we're going to seam rip the front of the jacket, and then we're going to cut it shorter, tuck it in, and then top stitch it there. And after that, you just glue on the other button and you're finished.
I hope you all enjoyed that tutorial and you give this a try, because I think it is an awesome addition to my wardrobe. It's so cool and colorful, and it's just so fun to have. So definitely give it a shot. If there's something you want to learn how to make, definitely let me know down below. I will be checking the comments and I will pick my favorite one, and who knows, it might be something that you said. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in my next video.